Welcome to Hotline TV, everyone. I'm John Mercurio.
And I'm Amy Walter. Well, John, there is a certain epidemic that seems to be hitting the United States Capitol.
Yes, there is, Amy Walter, and it's called...
What is it?
Foot and mouth disease.
Oh, you know, I had that. It's really painful. You get these sores.
No, it's different. It's different.
That's hoof and mouth.
That's hoof and mouth
that's
disease.
What I had.
Right. No, we're talking about politicians making idiots of themselves by putting their feet in their mouths.
All right, in Hotline TV, you know how we love our ranking.
We
so
do.
we are going to rank the most recent cases of foot and mouth on a scale of 1, which is a gaffe that lasts a news cycle or 2, to 5, which could be career-ending.
All of these foot in mouths have taken feet in mouth. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That I just committed one myself.
You have
Taken place in the
reel.
past week or so. So let's start with number 1, feet in mouth. RNC Chairman Michael Steele. All right, discuss.
All right, so it depends on which one was the most.
Exactly.
Right, you have to pick. Mine would be where he says Republicans can't win back the House.
Okay, yeah.
Which really set off
the recent spate.
Right, and then he had to go defend himself, which then put him on TV, which led him to defending himself more and creating more gaffes.
Of course.
Look.
All of which was in the interest of promoting his own book, which was also sort of a subtext to the Republican animosity about him.
Correct. The bottom line, though, is he's going to make gaffes. It's not going to stop. He's going to go on TV. Nobody can stop him. And as long as that is true, this will continue to happen. Republicans will not replace him.
Oh, interesting.
Until they find somebody who can raise money.
Right.
A low-key fundraising person is difficult to find, especially in this environment. Right now, it doesn't look like there's a coup going on. We have a couple weeks left before the RNC meeting in Hawaii to see if
which I'm going to be covering, by the way. I just wanted to let you know I'm going to be going down there for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Yeah. So I would put that on a scale of 1 to 5. It is a 3. It is not a career ender, but it is part of the case that Republicans want to make against him. I
think that, the irony is that, of course, Michael Steele was chosen in part as the RNC chairman in a competitive race back in January of 2009 because of his ability to go on TV.
Up.
Well, because of his ability to go on TV. He was telegenic, he was articulate, he was very comfortable in front of the camera, and now, of course, we found that he was a little bit too comfortable. I think you're right. I think the Republicans can't take back the House comment was the most egregious, but I think when you talk about Michael Steele, you really do have to look at, when you're talking about the actual impact that his foot and mouth disease is having, you really do have to look at the totality of his record. That was the worst recent one. The Honest Injun one, ironically, got a lot more press, even though I think, or not more press, but I think it got a lot more sort of Democratic outcry or outrage, hue and cry, but I think more than anything, that was not as big of a deal. But I would put Steele at a 4. I think I would put him at a 4. I think all that Republicans need at this point is a viable alternative. You're right. There isn't someone out there right now who's putting themselves out there as a possible alternative. If that person were to exist, even if it were a member of Congress, somebody like Paul Ryan of Wisconsin who's being mentioned, somebody who has a full-time job and has to remain committed to the House and the Senate campaign cycle, I think Steele could be in a lot more trouble. I'm putting him at a 4.
Okay. Harry Reid.
I'm familiar with the man.
You are familiar with the man. You are familiar with the comments apparently made.
Yes, indeed.
Were they off the record? Were they on deep background? The bottom line is they're now in a book, and that's his problem.
And I don't think it matters whether they were on or off the record. That's like inside baseball. The fact is he's acknowledged saying them. The fact is he's apologized for the comments. A couple of things about this whole episode. It was an incredibly stupid comment. It was insensitive, and it did, I think, in some ways reflect a lack of sensitivity to African Americans. The comment or the analysis that Harry Reid was making to 2 political journalists, who I'm sure were also engaged in a little bout of political analysis while they were having this conversation, was entirely accurate and widely discussed during the 2008 campaign. I myself, you perhaps, and a lot of other journalists talked about the fact that Barack Obama was politically viable as a presidential candidate because he was not from the generation of African-American civil rights leaders, Al Sharpton, Harry Reid, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, who had become so polarized in American politics that they were no longer viewed as
You
part
just
of the
didn't use the
mainstream.
term Negro dialect.
You just didn't use
period.
the term Negro dialect, but again, we're just talking about words, insensitive words, dumb words.
It's really the timing of the words. It's that they came on the heels of the latest poll from Nevada that shows him losing, that shows his approval rating tanking. He is not going to lose his leadership position over this. Republicans aren't, McConnell's not calling for this. Ensign wants people to lay off of him. Democrats aren't calling for it. But for a guy who needs to rile up the enthusiasm factor in Nevada, all it reminds people back home is this guy, every time we see him on TV, he's either being polarizing or he's saying something that seems sort of goofy. But there's not the sense like, gosh, I'm really excited this guy's in Washington fighting for what we need in Nevada. It's just not happening.
But his political obituary is being written this week, and it certainly includes these comments and a lot of his gaffes. But I think people lose sight of the fact that Harry Reid, with very few exceptions, has never been a big vote getter in Nevada. He had a really tough race against Ensign in 1998. He had really tough races before for the House of Representatives, and he lost a couple of races, lost a race for Las Vegas mayor. He's never been this, 65%. He ran and won really well in 2004. But, the idea that he's suddenly crashing and burning and that the state is turning against him, I think belies the fact that,
yeah, but it's one thing to be, that's fine, but it's one thing to be at, you're running for re-election and you're only ahead 48 to 40. He's at 40%. He's losing by 10 points as an incumbent, and he has a disapproval rating of 52%.
Right.
This is a big problem. All right, finally, Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton, again, now this was also from the book to be released, or actually has been released this week, suggesting that he was the person who pushed the Kennedys ultimately into the Obama camp with insensitive comments about Barack Obama, saying to Kennedy reportedly that just a few years ago this guy would have been serving us coffee.
Right.
Not good. And it, again, for a guy who, over the last few months since his wife's presidential campaign, has been regaining the trust and the popularity among African American voters, you have to wonder if this just sort of washes that all away and we go back to talking about fairy tales and Jesse Jackson winning South Carolina, and we're really, for a man who ran on and his governing style and his legislative accomplishments were so rooted in pursuing civil rights for African Americans. The great irony right now is this: since he's been out of the presidency, he's being remembered more for insensitive comments about African Americans than anything he did while he was president.
That's true. I think I have a little bit of a different take on it, which is that the comment was horrible. The getting coffee comment was ridiculous. It's receiving relatively, considering how explosive it could have been, and considering how big of a figure Bill Clinton is, it's receiving relatively little coverage. And the reason for that is that Barack Obama, I think, will be remembered, looking back at his first term or his first year in office, for pulling off a really masterful stroke of political genius, which was taking the Clinton family, the Clinton couple, the Clinton entity, the Clinton political dynasty, out of politics and putting them inside his administration. Hillary Clinton is no longer a political animal, and no longer, in a lot of senses, is her husband. They're part of the Obama team. She is his Secretary of State, and Bill Clinton is just as a top Democratic surrogate. And because of that, I think Bill Clinton is no longer considered the polarizing figure that he would have been if he was the wife of the husband of the
vanquished candidate or whatever, or
the vanquished presidential candidate of New York State's junior senator. Instead, they're part of a policy making. They're more. I think they're more construed as policy makers, policy advisors to Obama than political advisors. And I think for that reason, the context of this is a little different.
Very interesting.
So
like
that's
it.
what I think.
All right, and here's our last words. Ready?
Bring it on.
All right. Who do we think is more likely to resign?
Okay.
Steele?
Michael Steele. Oh, we didn't give ranks or discuss it, by the way.
Gosh.
I give Bill Clinton. I'm going to give that one a 4 as well.
Well, see, I'm not. Well, fine. I'll do a 4. We don't have enough time to go into that. All right. More likely to resign, Steele or Harry Reid? Neither are known as folks to back down
If you had to
without a
pick-
fight. But
you
if
had
I
to-
had to pick one who would
Yeah.
not be here, and I'm saying prematurely,
Right.
leaving,
They both have to.
I'm still gonna pick Steele.
Me too. Me too.
All right.
I'm definitely picking Steele. Again, I don't think this thing. I think the Reid thing is essentially over. I think Michael Steele will just keep on keeping on. All right. So keep it real.
And but we can't anymore because we're out of time.
That's right. Until next time, we'll see you on Hotline TV.